Hello, and welcome to this Foster Care Institute online. I'm going to do this another time. Hello, and welcome to this Foster Care Institute online training webinar Eating Disorders and Children in Foster Care. I am your host, Dr. John DeGarmo, the founder and director of the Foster Care Institute, as well as a trainer, author, consultant, and foster and adoptive parent myself. Thank you so much for being part of this online training webinar. Our goal during this webinar is to increase awareness of the dangers of eating disorders and how to help stop this behavior. Some of our key objectives here at the Foster Care Institute with this webinar is to increase the awareness of why a child might suffer from an eating disorder and the reasons behind this behavior, as well as to gain understanding of how to develop and implement strategies designed to best provide support and help to foster parents as they care for children with eating disorders. When a child is placed in your home, when a child is placed into a foster care setting, as we have seen in other webinars here at the Foster Care Institute, it is a time filled with tremendous anxiety for the child. Suddenly, many times without any explanation or warning whatsoever, a child is removed from their home, taken from their mother and their father, taken sometimes from their siblings, from their stuffed animals, their pets, their toys, their house, their home, sometimes their relatives, their grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, teachers, schoolmates, perhaps even church, everything they know, and placed suddenly into a home, a new home, with new rules, with new parents, so to speak, and new family members and siblings, a new environment, and many times without any explanation whatsoever that the child can truly comprehend or understand. And this is not only a time of anxiety, it is a time of confusion. It is a time of fear. So many children are afraid, simply afraid, when removed from a home and placed into a foster care setting. It is a frightening time, to be sure. For some children, it is a time of anger, and for many, a time of distrust. Do not trust the caseworkers, do not trust the foster parents, perhaps not trust their own parents, perhaps not trust a police officer if law enforcement was involved, perhaps not trust a judge or a court system or a caseworker. It is a time of distrust for some. It is a time, again, of anxiety. And because of this anxiety, many children in foster care suffer from issues of mental health. Indeed, for those children removed from their homes, their families, their friends, as we've seen, and placed into a foster care setting, this anxiety they feel, this trauma may contribute to not only the mental, but the behavioral health of the child as well. Now, in addition to this, so many times these children lack the proper and necessary mental health services when placed into a home, or perhaps prior to the placement. And this can plague a child in foster care as well throughout the time they're placed into a foster care home. They do not have the necessary mental health services and support that they need. It is estimated that up to 80% of children in foster care suffer from some sort of significant mental health issue. This 80% is compared to 20% of children in the general population. So it's striking to see, it's quite evident that children in foster care suffer from mental health issues more so than a child coming from a traditional home environment, than a child from the general public. As noted in the book, The Foster Care Survival Guide, children in foster care are twice as likely to suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder than are United States war veterans. Indeed, children in foster care suffer from post traumatic stress disorder 5 times higher than the general population. In addition to this, 21% of alumni, those who have aged out of the foster care system, also suffer from post traumatic stress disorder. So, this is a disorder that they can carry with them, perhaps throughout the rest of their life. There are a number of mental health disorders that children in foster care often face. These include alcohol dependence or substance abuse, anxiety, depression, panic, or some sort of social phobias. Now, many children in foster care, they come from an environment, they come from a home with their birth parents, their biological family members, whatever that home environment may have been prior to being placed into foster care. So many times, these environments are environments where they do not have enough food to eat. Others choose to eat and turn to food during their time and placement in foster care in an attempt to find some sense of control in their life, in a life that is filled with anxiety and turmoil. And there may be those children in foster care who have an unhealthy obsession with food as a result. Now let's look at some myths and some facts about eating disorders. Myth: eating disorders really are not that bad or that dangerous. The fact is this: eating disorders are very serious conditions that can be the cause of both physical and emotional damage. Indeed, eating disorders can be life-threatening. Myth: teenage girls are only the ones who suffer from eating disorders. The fact is this: it is most common in young women in their 20s and 30s, yet there are those boys and their men who also suffer from these disorders. Myth: our vanity plays a large part with people who have an eating disorder. Fact: eating disorders have nothing to do with vanity, but instead with mental health. And our final myth: only those people who are overweight suffer from eating disorders. Yet here is the fact: those with eating disorders come in all sizes and all shapes. There are a number of eating disorders and challenges. Let's look at those. Let's examine those briefly, shall we? Anorexia. People with anorexia often try to starve themselves due to a fear of becoming fat or obese. Despite not being overweight, those who suffer from anorexia never truly believe that they are thin enough, so they simply will try to starve themselves in the attempt, in their mind, to not become overweight. Binge eating. Those who suffer from binge eating overeat in a compulsive fashion. These individuals will quickly and rapidly consume food and calories over a short period of time. Now, those people who are binge eaters, they never truly feel filled. They don't feel full of food. They don't feel that they've eaten enough. You know that feeling when you say, I'm full? Binge eaters do not have truly that feeling. Bulimia. Those who suffer from bulimia not only eat to a great extent, like binge eating, but they also try to purge themselves of the additional and extra calories from their large food consumption in an attempt at gaining weight. Hoarding. Those children who have been deprived of food early in their young lives, oftentimes during their formative years, often become known as food hoarders. Now, this type of behavior is manifested by hiding food around the house, by overeating, or having anxiety over having to wait for the next meal. Now, some may hide food or hoard food in preparation for binge eating later on. And those picky eaters. Now, some children are unfamiliar with the food that is before them. Others may be used to eating only foods that are high in fats and salt. Now, perhaps you are a family that engages in healthy nutritional foods. Perhaps there's a time you've had a child placed in your own home and you've had before them a plate of broccoli or carrot or spinach or vegetables, and they're unfamiliar with those foods. Instead, they're turning to foods that are fat or salty. Healthy foods may not be enjoyable or tasty to these children. Other foods may have textures that they are particularly sensitive to. So, what are some of the symptoms of food disorders? Well, there are a number of them, and they all look quite different. Let's examine these. Some may become angry when offered food. Some are so focused and so concentrated on their own body image. Some sink into depression. Sometimes fine hair may be growing in the body. Some may try to hide or hoard food. Some are hyperactive. Sometimes a food disorder may result in lack of growth or menstrual cycle abnormalities in females. Thank you. Some will undergo a personality change. Other symptoms include reduction in food portions, where they simply refuse to eat. Some may withdraw socially. Sometimes a food disorder or an eating disorder will result in a thinning of hair on the head. Some may try to make an excuse not to eat with you or to avoid meals altogether, while others may only eat tiny portions that are given to them. Others may have this desire to take diet pills. Some may count their calories and weigh proportions on a regular basis. Other times, they may simply disappear at their meal times or several trips to the bathroom during meal times. Some who suffer from food disorders may take laxatives. Others may take breath mints, or they may have discolored teeth, or may consume mouthwash. Sometimes you may find large amounts of food wrappers hidden under the bedroom or in the garbage can around the house. Some may have a preoccupation with their appearance regarding weight loss or indeed weight gain. Some may talk about feeling overweight or fear of gaining too much weight. Indeed, some may have significant weight gain or weight loss. And finally, one of the symptoms of eating disorder may be loose clothing, or maybe wearing extra clothing, trying to hide their weight. So you can see there are a number of symptoms that you should be on the lookout for if you suspect the child placed in your home is suffering from some sort of food disorder or eating disorder, if you will. Now, for many children in foster care, they've never had a parental figure pay attention to them in a positive fashion. Refusing to eat or overeating while placed in your home might be that child's way of getting your attention, just getting a little bit of your attention due to the stress that that child feels. It might be a call for help. Now, there are a number of things that you can do if you suspect your child has an eating disorder, or if you know that a child has an eating disorder. At the same time, there are things you should not do. Do not enforce food restrictions. This will only increase the focus on the food and many times make the problem worse. Do not force the child in your home to eat everything on the plate, as was considered the option years ago. Indeed, perhaps your own parents told you to eat everything on the plate. Do not do that to a child who has an eating disorder. Do not force a child to eat. Do not use food as a punishment. This might increase the anxiety level in the child and be a reminder of the past trauma and abuse they're suffering from. And finally, do not use food as a bribe or as a reward at any time. So, what can you do? How do you help? What are your options when a child is placed in your home who has an eating disorder? Well, to begin with, you need to take notice. Notice what your child is doing. Notice his eating habits. Become aware of what he likes to eat and what he does not enjoy eating, what he dislikes eating. And trust your instincts. If you believe, if you feel, if you think there is a problem, well, indeed, there most likely is one. So trust your gut. Remain calm. Do not panic if a child has an eating disorder in your home. Listen to what he has to say to you. Validate his feelings and concerns and repeat back to them what they told you. Now, after you listen to the child and his concerns about food, whether he's eating too much, getting too much weight, not getting enough, whatever it might be, share the facts with them. Share information with them about eating disorders and the dangers, the true dangers that it may lead to. Give them the facts. Will this help? It is one step. Most often, those who suffer from eating disorders will be very quick to deny to you that there is a problem whatsoever. They will tell you they do not have an eating disorder. They will tell you that everything is okay. Be prepared for them to deny it. They might become angry and defensive when you bring up the subject. Do not take it personally. This is not a personal attack against you. If a child in your home is a picky eater, is a food hoarder, is suffering from bulimia or anorexia or another type of eating disorder, do not take this personally. And if they become angry or defensive towards you when you try to discuss this, again, do not take it personally. In so many ways, you are the example for the child. Remember, children are always watching what you do. So set a good example to them at all times. Think about your own eating habits. So don't skip meals yourself. Don't take part in the latest fad diet. Because if that child is suffering from an eating disorder and a mental health issue, and you are taking part in that latest diet, they will want to do the same thing as well. And it's okay for them if it's okay for you, correct? This is not your fault. Do not blame yourself. Eating disorders are not because of the meals that you prepare and the healthy diet that you've chosen for your family. It has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with the meals that you prepare. Supervision is so important in foster care in so many areas, and we have a number of online training webinars about supervision here at the Foster Care Institute. You must supervise your children at all times for a number of reasons, and this includes eating. Look, as we said earlier, look for signs. Are they pushing away their food? Are they hiding their food? Are they going to the bathroom often during mealtime? You need to be supervising them at all times. Now, do not label food as either good or bad food. You see, this can lead to a feeling of guilt or some sort of feeling of shame when the child consumes what you have labeled a bad food. We live in a society where body shaming seems to be more and more popular, where it seems to be more and more the norm. We see it in social media all the time. Avoid body shaming at all times. Do not make comments. Do not make any type of criticisms about the child's weight or appearance at any time. Furthermore, do not compare one child to another in any fashion in regards to appearance, in regards to weight, in regards to behavior, in regards to academics, in regards to ability or skills. Do not compare a child to another in any fashion. Let the child know in your home that it is normal to gain weight during beginning of puberty and adolescence. Your child is going to be bombarded night and day and night, 24 hours a day through social media, through TV, through movies, magazines, whatever it may be. They will be bombarded at all times about what normal should look like in regards to appearances and weight. Through our TV and movie stars, our entertainment, our athletes, remind them that what they see on TV is not normal. Remind them what they see on social media is not normal. In movies and media is not normal when it comes to appearances and weight. Remind them this. Because if you are not reminding them this, then who is? So many times, children are placed into a foster care environment where they've been neglected. They have not engaged in any type of extracurricular activity. So encourage them to participate in some sort of sports or sporting activity, whether at the school, whether at the community, the recreation department, or in the backyard with you. Try to engage them in some type of physical activity, such as playing basketball, going for a walk, throwing a football, throwing a frisbee. Help children in your home to create healthy food habits by encouraging them to have a healthy snack. Instead of going for the candy bars, the cookies, the cakes, instead try fruits and veggies, healthy cookies and healthy cakes, nuts and berries. Grab a piece of celery and put peanut butter on it. Or the same thing with a banana. Look up healthy recipes online or get a healthy cookbook, a nutritional cookbook online. And again, engage them in helping you or you helping them bake some healthy cookies and healthy cakes. Have healthy snacks available for them at all times. Have a bowl of apples and bananas and oranges available for them. Children in foster care need stability. They need security. But what they need more than anything else is unconditional love. Unconditional love from you. That you will love them despite everything they might do to you, everything they might say to you. You will continue to love them because you might be the first person who's ever given them or shown them this type of unconditional love before. And every child deserves to be loved unconditionally. Every child needs to be loved unconditionally. So reassure them that despite the fact that they might have made a poor choice, you are still going to love her. Display this unconditional love with your words and your actions. Your child in foster care is most likely crying out for someone to listen. They might not trust you, but they want someone to listen to them. So create an environment where the child knows that at all times she can come to you freely without any judgment from you, without any criticism from you, without any negative comments from you, and she can share her thoughts, her feelings, her concerns, her fears, and she can do so without judgment. You need to create an environment of trust. Now, to be sure, this takes time. An environment of trust does not happen overnight. And for a child who's been neglected or abused or abandoned so many times, this takes a great deal of time sometimes. A child in foster care also needs constant encouragement from you. Find opportunities to praise him in all areas of his life. And let him know that you understand how hard it might be to live in your home and to make good choices at all times. This includes choices with food. Encourage them, encourage them, encourage them. There are times when you can't do it by yourself. You might need to seek out a professional dietitian or nutritionist. So make time to schedule an appointment with a dietitian or nutritionist and seek help. Ask them for help planning balanced meals in your home and to set dietary goals for the child. Look for information online, in books, ask neighbors, ask friends, ask the experts on proper nutrition, and share this information with a child. Remember, you can't do it all by yourself. There are those times when you may have to seek out therapy and counseling sessions for children who are struggling with eating disorders. Provide professional help for them. And if need be, take your family to family counseling sessions as well. Children in foster care who suffer from eating disorders struggle with a very serious issue. Do not believe the myths. Understand the facts. Take the information and help the child in your home who is struggling with food hoarding, who is struggling with anorexia, who is struggling with bulimia or other eating disorders. Remember, do not take it personally and know that you cannot fix this by yourself overnight. It takes time, it takes a lot of effort and patience, and many times it takes professional help. Seek out a dietitian or nutritionist and ask them to help you prepare a nutritional meal and schedule for your family and for the child. You can find out a lot more about trauma and anxieties that children in foster care face in the book, The Foster Care Survival Guide. You can find that book and many other foster care books at the Foster Care Institute. My friend, thank you so much for taking part in this webinar. Thank you so much for being part of the Foster Care Institute. Thank you for caring for children in need, children in crisis. There are so few people. There are so few people who will be like yourself, who will say, I will care for this child. I will take this child in my home. So many children placed in foster care, not enough foster homes. You have a difficult job, a challenging job. It can be an emotionally and physically draining job. Yet know this, you are making a difference. You are changing lives. For these children, their world is being changed by what you do. So for the Foster Care Institute, I want to personally say thank you. For the Foster Care Institute, I'm Dr. John DeGarmo.